This is the Infotech revolution, and to a person like me, it's really amazing. The idea, of course, is that everything is digitized. That is, I send an email to you. In the past, I wrote a letter by pen, or I typed it. Those letters are there on the paper. Of course, what made up those letters were just little dots collected into patterns called A, B, and C. So the idea really is not totally different. But now, in the electronic age and in the infotech age, I type an email to you. Each letter is made up of little zeros and ones, and they combine to form an A, a B, or whatever letter in whatever alphabet. Of course, the zeros and ones are what is real, so to speak, though that's questionable, because, of course, we can always go back to say, well, what makes up the zeros and ones themselves? But what we're seeing is a kind of illusion. This reminds us, though, that really everything is the same. Ultimately, in a atomistic view of life, atomistic, which is as old as Democritus, I think, 5th century BCE in Greece. All that's real are atoms, and the atoms form into certain patterns which the mind, this is Kant now, projects, because the mind is made the way it is, projects onto these atoms so that I see a radio or a camera or a book, but really it's my mind that sees that, because the only thing that is real, the only things that are real are the atoms that make up everything. So in a way this is a continuation of that old and really indisputable idea. Who can argue with that? It's undeniable. And really, science has always said this. Science says that what is real is not what we see. In modern science, waves and particles are real. Energy is real. Do we see these things? No, of course not. We see clock, camera, book. And philosophy has always said this too. What we see is not real. What is real is, and then a philosopher will try to give some explanation. The infotech revolution is working on the same principle, I think. The examples they use here are very good for me. I have a large collection of records, what we call records, 33 1/3, the old style. I needed the turntable, the needle, the speakers, and all that, and around went the record, the needle in the groove, that produced sounds, and the sounds then emitted from the speakers. The idea is not so different. The form is different. That is, particles put together into certain forms, converted into some form, which then we perceive and use. The making of films, the same. Formerly, the cumbersome apparatus of inserting the film into the camera, well, this is now absurd. This is going even further, and as this article says, we're just at the beginning, and I'm sure we are. And it's a little scary, but like all scientific developments, has great potential for interesting, productive, beneficial things, has potential for harm too, like all things. We have to exercise some wisdom in our use of and regulation of these things. I didn't know, but in 2001 there was a movie called Final Fantasy, actors interacting, even a love scene. There were no actors. Each of these actors was created by the computer. This began in Jurassic Park 10 years ago, maybe, when the computer created the dinosaurs, which we saw, and they looked so real, and they interacted with the actors and all that. And we see it again and again. It's amazing what the computer-generated images can do. 2 days ago, I saw this film that many Koreans have seen and are talking about too, The Day After Tomorrow. It's about an eventual climate catastrophe, the result of global warming, which, in very scientific terms, which I have understood but totally believable, by dint of which, because of which, within hours, within a few hours, certainly within 24 hours, huge natural disasters engulfed most of the northern hemisphere, beginning from the Arctic Circle on down to the southern states in the U.S., covered Europe, covered most of Russia, and all that. Within a week, all ice. All ice. Now, this state continued for only a week, and then nature's pattern was restabilized. But my point is, the images that were created, these huge clouds, and we watched them grow. It was wonderful because, this particular film was wonderful because it reminded us, who need reminding, of nature's power. What can man do against a tidal wave, a hurricane, an earthquake? Very little. It's a reminder of our very limited ability to resist major, even minor maybe, forces of nature. Anyway, all, of course, computer generated. But to imagine that actors, that everybody in the film is not a real person, but is the product of a computer, is made up of a computer. These handsome actors and beautiful actresses and doing whatever they do are not real. Healthy reminders for us, I think. Now, do people want that? Will people like that? Probably not. Probably not. We want human contact. We want to see beautiful but not perfect women, handsome but not perfect men, a sparkle in the eye, an odd smile, or a frightening thing, or something ugly, a blemish. I don't think we'll get beyond that. But changes are occurring here, remarkable changes. And we're just at the beginning, I guess. Now, what does that mean? That means that reality is more and more the product of the computer. But when we say that, of course, what is a computer? A computer is a machine operated by someone or a group of people. That is, it's kind of like our tendency to use the word science. There is no such thing as science. There are scientists. There is no such thing as a computer, really. There are the people who operate computers. Always we come back to the human beings operating these things. And it's naive and foolish to suppose that science does this, or even computers do this. Now, of course, science fiction has already speculated about the day when the computers are smarter than we are and control us. But someone still made the computer, someone still programmed it. I don't know. Computers can certainly beat most of us at chess, and can beat the best some of the time, and maybe more and more most of the time. And that's indicative of what we're up against here. But we must always remember that there's no such thing really as infotechnology. There are the people who make this. Interesting. Thank you.